Please rise if you wish for the invocation and the pledge. Dear God, we begin the new year with gratefulness for what has gone before and anticipation of good things to come. We seek your guidance as we plan to help our city move forward in 2024, protecting what we value and guarding against threats to those things. We ask that this 31st year of our city be the best in our city's history. As we consider the matters before us this evening, grant us wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we may make the best decisions for those who have entrusted us to represent them. Amen. And the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This is the regular City Council meeting for the month of January. City Clerk, would you do the roll call?
Councilmember Sell.
Here.
Councilmember Papalardo.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Chazet.
Here.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
Here.
This being the regular council meeting for the month, we do have public participation on items not on the agenda. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. So I would invite to the podium Bonnie Beal.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City Manager, and staff. Happy New Year. My name is Bonnie Beal. I live at 126 Leisure World Drive. I am your volunteer coordinator for TNR and also president of the nonprofit group Not Their Fault Feline Foundation, which supports TNR education and medical care for community cats. 2023 was a great year for our DeBerry TNR program, with 198 feral or stray cats getting spayed or neutered and vaccinated. In addition to the immediate effect of less nuisance behaviors associated with fighting and mating, the birth and suffering of hundreds of kittens have been avoided. On behalf of all the residents served, we thank you for your continued support for our DeBerry TNR program. Cats in Florida can have up to 3 litters of kittens per year. And we saw with our numbers, March 24th and August 29th were our biggest months for trapped cats. This seems to relate to calls we received for assistance when people find litters of kittens appearing when we responded to kitten requests. We always make it a priority to find and trap the adult cats as well as the kittens so we can stop the cycle. As a group, with the help of volunteer fosters like Robin McClintock, who was supposed to come tonight, but she didn't make it, we were also able to rescue 20 kittens this year. Our nonprofit paid for additional medical care like SNAP tests, dewormer, and microchips to get them healthy, socialized, adopted, and off the streets. We also responded to several requests for feral cats needing medical assistance that our nonprofit covers beyond the city TNR, including antibiotics for abscesses or infections, dewormer, flea medication. One cat we trapped had a microchip and was returned to their owner. And a couple of friendly cats that were dumped or abandoned were able to receive updated vetting or vaccines and were adopted out to new homes. Our goal this year is to continue intensive trapping activities that get as close as we can to 100% spayed or neutered cats in each neighborhood or colony. If we are successful, we expect within a couple years to see the number of calls and requests to decrease, and the population of street cats will also stabilize or decrease. TNR is the only humane method of population control for feral cats, and the residents we help are always so grateful to learn about this program and our wonderful local clinic partnership with Central Florida Community Pet Clinic, who also provides low-cost spay or neuter and vaccines for pet cats and dogs in our area. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them if I can. And once again, we thank you for your support. And feel free to share my phone number with anyone you may come across who needs TNR assistance.
Thank you so much for coming and giving us the recap of last year. We are so glad to have you active in our community and appreciate all the work you do. Thank you.
198 cats.
198. Good work. Okay, the next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. We have minutes from the regular City Council meeting of December 6, 2023, and the special City Council meeting of December 2023.
Motion to approve the regular city council meeting December 6, 2023, and the special meeting December 20, 2023.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson? And I am a
Yes.
yes. Do we have any additions, deletions, or amendments to this agenda?
Mayor, I do.
Okay.
On the consent agenda, there's an error that the actual agreement is not in the packet there.
Okay.
And I want to pull that, and we'll have it on the January 17th meeting.
Okay. We are eliminating consent agenda item 3. Moving on to public hearings, agenda item number 4. The staff is requesting the City Council approve the second reading of ordinance number 12, 2023, amending the text of the city's comprehensive plan, future land use element and future land use map to remove the industrial/utility future land use classification and replace it with a new public/utility classification. City Attorney, would you read ordinance number 12, 2023, please?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 12-2023, an ordinance of the City of DeBary, Florida, amending the text of the future land use element of the City of DeBary Comprehensive Plan to amend Policy 5.404 and 5.405 to delete the industrial/utility, the IU future land use, and create the public/utility PU future land use, amending the future land use map of the City of DeBary Comprehensive Plan to redesignate properties previously designated with the industrial/utility IU future land use to the public/utility PU future land use, providing for severability, conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. Stephen Babb, Growth Management Director. I'll give the presentation on this item. As we normally do, staff does look at our future land use element and our comprehensive plan. And we do, at times, see what may or may not be current with our current city situation. We looked deeply at Policy 5.404, and we looked at the industrial utility classification. Within our industrial utility classification, we have FPL and we have Duke Energy, which are not really a utility or an industrial use, but more of a utility use. And so what this ordinance will do is replace the words industrial utility with public utility. The ordinance itself did go to the DRC, and staff did recommend approval. None of the policies which are in the comprehensive plan will change with this relabeling of the future land use. No non-conforming uses will be created, or no additional zoning classifications would be created with this ordinance. The City Council did see this ordinance and have the first reading on the 1st of November. Just the area in question, it is a large-scale comprehensive plan amendment. As you can see on the map, the central, light blue portion on the right map in the north and south central portions of our city, which is the FPL and the Duke on the north and FPL on the south, will be changed, will be relabeled. And since it was more than 50 acres, we were required to go through a longer process, which included sending a review to multiple staff agencies within the state of Florida. We have conducted that distribution of the proposed ordinance, and we have received no negative comments or no comments from any of the staff agencies. Now, the next step, if adopted today, would be to retransmit to the Department of Commerce so they can give the final, thumbs up review. It's not really a review, but just they confirm that the ordinance was passed on second reading. And then we have a 31-day window. And after that 31-day window, as per Florida statute, we would officially update the map and that section of the comprehensive plan. So.
Okay, thank you very much. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Thank you. Councilmember Sell, any questions or comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo?
No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson?
No questions, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
I'm okay, thanks.
We have gone over this before, and I I am pleased to hear that we've had no feedback on a negative basis from any of the agencies. And it looks to me like the effective date would be sometime in February, we would anticipate. How long do you think the Department of Commerce would keep it?
It'd be a 31-day.
After that, but it's after the determination is complete. How long does that take to determine it?
They just, they confirm receipt. It's like
Okay, so it's fairly quick when they get
a
it.
12-hour process. They get
Okay.
it, they look at it, they
So sometime by
double-check
the
their
end of-
earlier packet,
Yeah.
they see the Second Amendment, or the second ordinance reading.
Right.
And then,
And this is land that's within the area where we have a development moratorium anyway, so there's nothing that's midstream.
that's correct.
Okay, thank you very much. I have no additional questions. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the second reading of ordinance 12-23.
Second.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Moving on to agenda item number 5, the staff is requesting the City Council approve the second reading of ordinance number 13, 2023, amending the Land Development Code to update the zoning future land use compatibility matrix in accordance with ordinance number 12, 2023. City Attorney, would you read ordinance number 13, 2023, please?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 13-2023, an ordinance of the City Council of DeBary, Florida, amending Chapter 3, Article Roman 1, Section 3-2A of the City of DeBary Land Development Code to amend the zoning future land use compatibility matrix, providing for severability and effective date and codification.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, Stephen Bapp, Growth Management Director, and I will be giving the presentation on this agenda item. This is I guess, a sibling ordinance of the early one we just read. The one we read and adopted just recently was for the future land use of the comprehensive plan, but the Land Development Code does have a tie-in table that shows compatibility with zoning and future land use, and that is what we're going to amend with this ordinance. There'll be no changes to any zoning classification, no creation of zoning classification. We're simply, with the table, striking out the utility IU under the industrial and adding the PU down below under public classifications. That is the only change that is going to be presented in this ordinance, and is to accompany the last reading we just had. It did go through the DRC. Staff does recommend approval of this, and it was heard before the council on November 1st at first reading. It will need to be, once the previous ordinance is implemented in 31 days after receipt in the state of Florida, this will go into effect. So,
Thank you very much. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
No comments.
Questions or comments? Councilmember Papalardo?
No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson?
No additional questions, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butland?
No additional, thank you.
And I have no additional questions either. With no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve the second reading of ordinance 13-23 in accordance with ordinance 12-2023.
Second.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Butland?
Yes.
And I am a yes. We're moving on to item number 6 on our agenda. The city manager is requesting the city council approve the second reading of ordinance number 14-2023, submitting to referendum an amendment to the city charter to allow council members to run for the position of mayor without the need for a one-year hiatus. City manager, are you presenting?
Would you like me to read it, Mayor?
Oh, I do want you to read the ordinance, though.
Thank you. Ordinance number 14-2023, An ordinance of the City of DeBary, Florida, submitting to referendum an amendment to the city charter to allow council members to run for the position of mayor without the need for a one-year hiatus, providing for advertisement of the referendum, submission of the question and charter amendment contained herein to the qualified electors of the City of DeBary at a general election, where such amendment will be incorporated into the city charter, if approved, providing for codification of adopted charter amendments, severability, and an effective date of this ordinance and charter amendment, if approved.
Thank you. Now, City Manager.
Yes, Mayor.
I was on a roll with those ordinances, and then I skipped one.
Don't necessarily have a PowerPoint tonight, simply because of expedient part of this is that, as we explained before, seats number 1 and 2 have a different term date than the mayor, seat number 3 and seat number 4. Our city charter, as we did the review commission, we did have in the review commission some language in there to correct some of the dates regarding seat number 3 and seat number 4 as they were the same term as the mayor, to give them an opportunity to run for mayor at the end of their 2 terms, since their terms are similar to the mayor. Seats number 1 and 2 have the opportunity to sit out a year to run for mayor if they ran 2 terms. Seat 3 and 4 do not have that opportunity to run for mayor, as they would have to sit out essentially 4 years to run for mayor. And so what this ordinance does, it provides a ballot on the ballot, would be provide an item on the ballot for in November for our voters to elect whether or not they want to amend the charter to allow seats 3 and 4 after serving 2 terms to be able to run for mayor.
Okay. City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Councilmember Papalardo.
I'm pleased with the changes to the language since the last reading, and I'm glad that this is basically mirroring with the effort of the committee in 2020 to get this onto the ballot for referenda. So I'm pleased with this. Thank you.
Councilmember Stevenson.
No questions.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
Just to reiterate Councilmember Papalardo's comments, I'm glad that this is up here and getting it cleared up, and something that was overlooked, and we just need to get it cleared and on the ballot. Hopefully, now we need to campaign for it.
My only comments would be for those who haven't heard the discussion on the prior reading, that this particular change would be submitted to the voters during the coming year's election, which is already scheduled. It comes with almost no cost to the city because we will already have 2 council member seats open, so we will be working with the supervisor of elections on that council election, and this will be adding a referendum question for the voters, should we change the charter. And the way that our terms work, I am in my 2nd term, and my term will conclude at the end of 2026. I will be termed out. There will be another mayor January 1st of 2027. And this change, which was recommended by the Charter Commission, Review Commission in 2020, which was not moved forward by that council for a citizen's vote, will allow basically anyone up here on the dais who may be interested in running for mayor to do so without sitting out a period of time. And that would enable, in this current situation, that would enable some people with experience to vie for the seat. And if the residents wanted somebody with experience, they could elect one of those people. And if there was another candidate or 2 that offered different strengths, they could elect that candidate. It just opens it up for the voters to say that we could change the charter so that others on the dais would not have to sit out 4 years practically if they were on the same term as myself, which is seats 3 and 4. Seats 1 and 2 also could resign their seats and run for the position as well. It opens the door. So
I'm not sure if the last statement, if they resign, because if you resign, that.
resign to run is what I mean.
They still have to be off a year.
You still have to go out a year if you've resigned to run?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
The language that disqualifies someone in their current second term from running for mayor is that it encompasses that. The language specifically says, if you would have completed your term, if not for resigning, that counts as a full second term, and your term limit would be applied for seats 1 and 2, for example.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That clarifies that.
Yep.
Thank you. If there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to adopt the second reading ordinance 14-2023, submitting to the referendum an amendment to the city charter to allow council members to run for the position of mayor without the need of a one-year hiatus.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Moving on to agenda item number 7, the staff is requesting the city council approve the first reading of ordinance number 03-2024, amending the Riverside Business Planned Unit Development to add certain permitted uses to the development agreement and minimum parking requirements therein. City Attorney, would you read ordinance number 03-2024, please?
Yes, Mayor. Ordinance number 03-2024, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of DeBary, Florida, adopting an amendment to the Riverside BPUD as adopted by ordinance number 21-05, as amended by ordinance number 06-16, to hereby include additional permitted uses on the property, providing for a development agreement, providing for severability conflicts, and an effective date.
Thank you.
Once again, Stephen Babb, Growth Management Director. I will be giving agenda item number 7 presentation. This is a request to approve a major amendment to the Riverside Business Plan Unit Development to add certain uses and minimum parking requirements. To familiarize the council and the public with the location of this site, it is in the southern portion of our city, east of 1792, really right near the junction of 1792 and Barwick Road. Now, the history of this BPUD, it was adopted in 2006. And when adopted, it had about 31 uses. And it was amended later to add 1 use in 2016. On the slide, you will see a general overview of the uses. Not all 32 are on there, but it gives a good orientation of what uses are there. So there's things permitted such as dance studios, auction parlors, auto body shops, beauty and barber shops, offices, welding shops, warehousing. And with the vehicle manufacturing, which is all types of vehicles, bicycles, RVs, camper type devices, manufacturing was amended on the 2016. And as part of a BPUD, it's very common as market conditions change and demand changes that uses which may not have been envisioned in the first adoption are requested or required. So that's really what's being sought here. It is a normal, kind of a normal growth of a BPUD as time goes on to add additional uses. The amended language itself includes the following: car washes and auto detailing as an accessory use to auto body shops. It proposes to add beer and wine sales for on-premise consumption as an accessory use to retail sales and services. And the third use, which is a type A restaurant. And type A restaurants are where you sit down at a table, someone takes your order, and they bring your food to you. And that type A restaurant would include beer and wine sales on-premise for on-premise consumption as an accessory use. Also, along with this amendment, language will be added to reiterate the parking requirement for the Class A or Type A restaurant, which is 1 parking space for every 4 seats in the restaurant, or 1 for each 200 square feet, plus 1 for each employee at the largest shift. And this is consistent language and parking requirement for the rest of the city for a Type A restaurant. This did go to the Development Review Committee, and staff recommends approval of this amendment. And we do find, staff finds that the proposed amendment is consistent and compatible with the City of DeBary Comprehensive Plan. Thus, staff would recommend that City Council approve on first reading ordinance number 3-2024 for the Riverside Business Plan Unit Development Amendment number 1. If so, passed on first reading, staff will schedule the second hearing for the ordinance before the council. Thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Sell, questions or comments?
Public participation.
Oh, is there public participation?
No, ma'am, there is not.
Thank you. Councilmember Sell.
No comments.
Councilmember Papalardo.
No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson.
No questions, thank you.
Vice Mayor Butlin.
I just had a question about the parking. If it's, this is an hours restricted, or you say restaurant, is it lunch and dinner? Is it just dinner? Is there a restaurant there now? There's not, right? I
No,
didn't think so.
there's not a restaurant.
So there's enough parking if you say
I may be incorrect, the applicant can,
they're not in their head now?
yeah, I don't believe there's a restaurant there right now from my inspection.
I was just concerned with the parking, because if it's during lunch and there's all these businesses, is there enough parking to do the four?
There's a
per-
lot of parking on the site, and
Okay.
each business that would come in for a business tax receipt would have to prove that the parking
Okay.
is
Sufficient?
available and sufficient.
Okay, that's all my.
A lot of times on these multi-use sites, you know, you have a lot of
Yeah.
additional parking that may not be utilized. But that's part of, first of all, I went through the site plan and DRC review for the parking. And then as we get to the actual, where the rubber hits the road, the BTR will be issued, they'll have their inspection and verify the parking requirement, that
Okay.
they meet the parking requirement.
That was my only concern, because
Okay.
I hate to
All
see
right.
cars start parking on the grass and stuff like that when they can't get a parking spot. Thank you.
My question is, are there businesses falling into the categories to be put into this amendment that are operating today?
I believe there is, the applicant answered that question more. There is a business that has a furniture type facility that does offer beer and wine,
Yes.
and they have a beer and wine,
And they have been operating for some time with this
Yes.
not being
correct.
condoned as a use by the BPUD.
That is correct.
Okay, how did we get to that point?
This was before my time,
I'll-
but I do know.
I'll answer
but-
that, Mayor.
but
Okay.
Perhaps
Let me
Carmen
answer
can
that.
answer that a little more.
Well, I
Yes.
mean,
Clearly.
the property owner had renovated the building in the front, which was a warehouse-type building, to a retail store. And quite frankly, the staff had discovered after the fact that some of the uses that were going in there, because when you build a retail strip center, you really don't know what businesses that are
Right.
going in there. And so, after the fact, when the BTRs are filed, that's when we discovered that there needed to be an update on the business PUD. And so this is a process that's been going on for, 4 or 5 months now, I think, going through DRC and everything else, to make sure that brings this BPDUD into compliance. And so, yes, it was discovered after the fact.
Okay, and it has continued to operate without this being a condoned use? And it hasn't been just 4 or 5 months, it's been,
Well, they've been in
A year or
operation a lot
two.
longer. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
what I would like to say to the applicant is, I don't like to ask forgiveness instead of permission. And I don't have a problem with adding these uses, but the time to add them was before there were businesses operating within these categories, in my view. So I communicate that to you now. I do not have a problem with the businesses that are there operating. But I do not like a pattern of asking forgiveness instead of permission when it's clear and the city staff can provide you guidance as to what is a permitted use and what is not a permitted use. Could I have your confirmation that going forward, we will not have this issue?
Come up to,
Come up to the.
yeah, come up, Gerald.
For every tenant that we get in
Yes.
all of our properties, we tell them up front, go to the city. And that specific one, they got their state license, they got their BTR, everything was how it was supposed to be until the renewal came up, and then that was when I think it was discovered that they were not allowed to be there.
Okay, but you own the property that is in this BPUD, and you, as the owner, have an obligation not to lease to tenants that are not allowed in the BPUD, correct?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Joey Posey, 420 South Nova, attorney for the applicant. And I just wanted to briefly mention that in terms of retail sales, in terms of auto body work, those are permitted uses. So it's a little bit of a rub in how the language reads and what's accessory to those uses. I'm sure that the right thing to do would have been gone to the city and asked for that clarification.
Right.
But sometimes when you're talking about an auto body shop, well, does that include washing your car? I mean,
Yeah.
it depends what city you're in, probably, but.
Right. But this document is available to your
Exactly.
landowner, correct?
But it doesn't,
Your-
but it
your
does not.
business owner.
Yeah, exactly. That
Yeah.
doesn't relieve him of his obligation, and it doesn't relieve the tenants of their obligation. But I just want that to be clear a little bit, that, in terms of what they probably should have done on their side as due diligence, they should have taken a little bit of extra effort, but I can understand a little bit of the confusion.
But a retail shop doesn't automatically have the ability to sell beer and wine,
That is
correct?
That is
Okay.
correct.
I'm just saying permission, not forgiveness going forward.
Exactly. And we do not want to be back here.
Good. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the first reading of ordinance 03-2024, the proposed major BPUD amendment to amend the DA to permit the proposed uses and new minimum parking requirements.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. Moving on, the next agenda item is number 8. The staff is requesting the City Council approval of Danis Utilities' proposal for the inspecting, cleaning, and/or repairing of the air relief values with the Western Emergency Pumping System.
Thank you, Mayor. Obviously, our stormwater emergency management system is one of our highest priorities in the city. Wait to bring this up here. And so we've been, over the last, as you well know, over the last several months, we've been working on, our pumps at DeBerry Plantation Pump Station. We've been experiencing vibration. We've gotten some complaints, obviously, over the last year or so regarding the next door neighbors, regarding the vibration they feel in the ground. And so we've been really kind of scratching our head on where is this vibration coming from. We had our pumps rebuilt, and we're still experiencing these vibrations. And so the Western pumping system, for those who are watching on there, is in orange. It takes the northern part of our city, DeBerry Golf and Country Club, DeBerry Woods, Saxon Woods, parts of Glen Abbey, and moves the water, as we effectively did during Hurricane Ian and Nicole, all the way to the Burrow Pit in southwest DeBerry. And along this particular line, there's a series of air release valves that exist, and there's some of the dots there you can see as they go along the system there. That shows where the locations are. And so, and again, these are some of the descriptions where they're located at. And the purpose of these air release valves is to protect the pipeline system and help to maintain its efficiency and its effectiveness. They are perfect for venting large volumes of air. There's no water in the pipe, there's air. And this allows the air to go back and forth into the pipe to allow either the water, as the water approaches the valves, to release the air, and as it recesses, to let the air back in. And so these are just some of the examples of the valves. Some are in the ground, some of them above ground, and they are really a control mechanism. And so the proposal that you see in front of you tonight is to have all those valves inspected, cleaned, and have minor repairs so that they can operate effectively. In talking, we had some experts out there, and David Hampshire has done a great job. We brought him out. He's the one that designed and built this particular system. And talking with a number of different engineers and experts, that really kind of the number one cause for this vibration is that maybe these air valves are not functioning properly. And we have a conflict in the system between air and water. And this conflict is creating a kickback onto our pumps, which is causing the vibration, which is causing our pumps to break. And so we've had both of them rebuilt. Our valve at the Berry pump station is actually operating at 25% capacity at the pump station right now. Anytime we open it anymore, the vibration creates. And so that tells us that there's an air problem. We can slowly open that valve to full capacity and the system works. However, when it starts when that valve at the pump station at 100% capacity, the vibration will eventually destroy our pump. So we can slowly open it, which we have to be there all the time, or leave it at 25%. So which is right now we're leaving it at 25%. We do have a temporary pump there at that particular location so that it would help facilitate the movement of additional water if necessary. And you have approved that, and we've extended that for one more month because with this El Nino situation that's coming in our wintertime, some of these storms are very large. Saturday is going to be an extremely rainy day for a long period of time. And so right now we need to manage that particular water going through. So by inspecting, repairing, slightly small repairs, cleaning these particular systems and to determining what needs to be done, we're asking you to approve this proposal for $22,190, but also authorize the city manager to go ahead as necessary because of the necessity of these valves to give me the purchasing authority to go ahead and fix them all. So that they're operating effectively. Once we get all these valves fixed and repaired and cleaned if necessary, then we will make a final decision on what we need to do with our pumps going forward, whether we need to, whether the rebuilt pumps are adequate or whether or not we need to purchase new pumps going forward. The new pumps, as I explained to you all individually, is about $140,000 for 2 pumps. We do have the money in our stormwater reserves, but this is generally normal maintenance over 15 years. This system is 15 to 17 years old, and these as far as we know, these air release valves have never been updated and never been repaired. So we want to make sure that they're all working effectively. Some of these valves run along the trail system. We've had a lot of contractors going up and down the nearby. One of them was covered, and we had to actually dig and locate it. And so it's when you have a lot of third-party contractors out there from other government agencies, they don't necessarily respect some of the assets of the local government. So we just need to go in and fix them all. And so I appreciate not only your approval for the proposal of $22,190, but granting me the authority and the purchasing authority to go ahead and repair these and get all these functioning properly.
City Clerk, do we have any public participation?
No, ma'am, we do not.
Councilmember Sell, questions and comments?
No questions.
Councilmember Papalardo?
No questions.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Just curious, can we go back to the map that had all the air release valves? And how many air release valves are there total that are going to be evaluated?
Well, there are 7 this company called Danis Utilities that came out and looked at them so they can develop a proposal. There are 7 of them that are of concern. And ultimately, I believe there are 11 on the entire line. But these 7 here seem to be the particular issue and have a major concern. We ask also, and while I'm speaking, to use Dana's Utilities as a sole source. They've been highly recommended by a numerous amount of engineer experts in this process, and they have been out. And so as a sole source, that will speed up the process to get these repaired so that we're ready for hurricane season in June.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Just a quick question, Carmen. Are any of these, are these on all our easements, our properties? There's no private properties that these are on?
No, these are all in
All ours, okay.
our right-of-ways.
So people that are complaining about digging and stuff like that, it's on our stuff, our easements. Okay,
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that. I know how much you love to hear the word rain, but we need to get this done. I mean, it's just something
City managers don't like water.
they don't like water. But that's all for me. Thank you.
I just want to say, I think that this is a critical part of our infrastructure. 8 release valves, they need to be all checked. You said 7, it says 8. I don't know which it is, but
Okay.
I want all of them checked that have been identified as, and I assume that's in the quote. I also am behind giving you the authority to repair, but can you give me a ballpark idea? When we talk about the pump replacements, we're talking between 150,000 plus, I think. What are we talking about ballparkish if we had to replace an air relief valve?
I don't know that
single one.
number, but if,
I would assume it's less than a pump. It's-
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 a piece we had to replace these.
So up to 160,000 in total.
If they all
Okay.
need to be repaired.
And
but-
you
I mean,
will find a place in the budget where we can do this.
Yes, we have monies in the stormwater reserves to be able to,
significant
for
to do
common
that.
maintenance of our
Okay.
systems, yeah.
All right, I think it's a critical project, and it needs to be addressed sooner rather than later is my input.
And just, you know me as well, if it gets too excessive, I'll bring it back to council.
Deal?
Are you asking, do we need to put a number in with the?
No, I'm not
Okay.
asking you.
I
I
wasn't
just
sure
wanted
what
for
you were
my
saying.
own sense. We're not talking $1 million purchasing authority. Councilmember Sell.
It looks like Danis has already looked at several of
Yeah.
these and come up with guesstimates
Correct.
on
Yeah.
what they need and how much it would
These
cost.
7 are their concern. But again, we want them to go through them all, to make sure that they're all functioning properly. Because once if they repair all these and this is all that's needed, we still have to test the system to make sure that these air valves are releasing and stay intact. And so we want to make sure they're operating effectively. So there's going to be, once they repair these, there's going to be a significant amount of testing of the system to make sure they're working properly, so.
Did they look at all 11 and they came up with 7 that need repair?
Yeah, that's my understanding, is that they looked at all of them.
After they do the repairs of these 7, then they're going to fire up the system. If they run into any other issues, then they may need to be replaced.
Yes.
Or
And because this is a high necessity item, the emergency management system is critical to a numerous amount of homes. I can come back to council and ask, be a 2 or 3 week delay to get it back to you. Because of necessity, they need to be repaired. We don't really have much choice. To get, whatever it takes to get them done, it needs to be done.
that's it.
Okay, if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the Danis Utilities proposal for the inspecting, cleaning, and/or repairing of the air relief valves within the Western Emergency Pumping System, authorizing Danis Utilities as a sole source vendor under the city's purchasing policy, and authorize the city manager the spending authority to repair and/or replace all valves as deemed necessary to ensure proper performance.
Second.
Vice Mayor Butlin?
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson?
Yes.
Councilmember Papalardo?
Yes.
Councilmember Sell?
Yes.
And I am a yes. We're moving on to member reports and communications. Councilmember Sell, anything to report?
Was able to attend the gala that we had for the city of DeBerry's birthday. We're now 30 years old. It was an excellent event. I think it opened up to some folks who have never seen the DeBerry Hall before, and I got really good feedback from folks who got to go inside the hall and walk around, and I know folks go to St. Augustine a lot to go see the world, the United States' oldest schoolhouse and things, but we have a very nice preserved Florida home right here in DeBary that is worth half a day to go tour and take a walk through and just see how homes were way back in the day. And it's one of our, if not first homes here in DeBary. So the event was great, excellent. I'm looking forward to 40 years. So that's it. That's all I got.
Councilmember Papalardo.
I also attended the gala last weekend. Very well done event. Lots of good support from the community and the sponsors that contributed and everything else. Everyone had just wonderful things to say about the city and staff. Everyone does such a great job here. And Happy New Year.
Thank you. Councilmember Stevenson.
I also had a good time at the gala, and Happy New Year, everyone.
Vice Mayor Butland.
Yeah, I also attended the gala, which was lovely, and it was a little chilly for most people. I don't know what the problem is. It's winter. It should be December. Be prepared. But it was a wonderful event. Comments galore. It is amazing how many people have never been there and didn't even know where it was, and they all thought we owned it. I'm like, nope, we don't manage it. It's owned by the county. And they're like, so when's the next activity? Which is the comment I was getting from a lot of people. So what are we doing next? So I'm looking forward to seeing what we're going to be doing next. And maybe get some things planned for later in the year and stuff. I'm looking forward to Legal got on the dance floor. I was very impressed with his moves.
Yes.
I wish I had a video. That would have been, I did not. But it was great to see everyone participating. And I'm looking forward to the groundbreaking for Main Street.
That's what's next.
That's what's next.
What's next? I also very much enjoyed the gala, except for the weather. But I thought that given the fact it was chilly, everyone still had a lovely time. I was truly amazed at the number of attendees that got into the spirit of dressing for the event. We had some amazing costumes, and it was very well done. I echo the sentiments about those who have just discovered DeBary Hall, which has been sitting there much longer than they have been residents. So I thought that was another good subsidiary thing with the event was we highlighted that we do have this historic home in our city. In fact, it is where the person who is the city's namesake established his hunting lodge, and it was good for people to see that. And I thought the staff worked very hard in having a very classy and enjoyable event, and I appreciated everyone's participation, and it was fun. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, February 17th is, as was declared, Frederick DeBary Day in DeBary, and so we had some conversations with folks at the DeBary Hall today. Maybe make a little bit of emphasis of folks that have never been there to possibly do the tours on or around February the 17th as part of Frederick DeBary Day. And so, yeah, I've got numerous amount of friends and couples that have never been to DeBary Mansion and don't know where it is. And so it frustrated me after I started quizzing some of my friends, have you ever been there? And they said no. And so, yeah, I'm a little frustrated that they had never been there, and so I'm gonna drag them there. Next council meeting is January 17th. We're going to be doing a workshop, is when we're starting our workshops for our land development code and implementation. The workshop will start at 5:30, go to 6:30. First one is regarding the basic training for the form-based code, so that as you read the codes and everything else, you'll fully understand what perspectives on the land development code, what form-based code is all about. That will be presented by Mr. Bapp, et cetera, et cetera. Second, obviously, the groundbreaking ceremony at DeBary Main Street is January 24th at 10 a.m. We plan on doing it right in the middle of the street, parking on the Sunrail station, walking across Fort Florida Road. And so we'll have a nice celebration from 10 to 12, various guests and speakers. And so it should be a great event to kick off something that we've been working really hard for the last 4 years. So thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. City Attorney, anything to report?
Just, we had a great time at the event. It was so well done and so much fun, and I love that house. Nothing more.
Thank you so much. Hearing nothing further, we stand adjourned.